Hey guys, welcome back to the Spotlight Kid. Today we're going to be doing a ranking of Uli John Roth's awesome band, The Electric Sun. Now I'm only going to tackle the Electric Sun album, those three Electric Sun albums, and not the whole Uli John Roth catalog, because I feel like that Electric Sun band was really something unique and special within his body of work that's worth having a closer look at. I really did want to. I've been mulling over for a long time which album I would like to do a album explorations on. You know, my other show, Album Explorations, where I do a deep dive into a single album. But I really found it hard to choose which album to do because I really love all three of the Electric Sun albums. They're all fantastic in different ways. So I thought, let's do an album ranking. It's only three albums, and you know, the ranking's not really that important. It's more important that we get a chance to talk about this awesome band, and Uli John Roth. Always love to talk about him because he's one of my favorite guitarists. So let's get started. So coming in at number 3 at the bottom. And I know that there's a lot of people who will probably start screaming at the computer screens with this one, but Firewind is at the bottom for me. Now, Firewind, don't get me wrong, I love this album. It's a great album. It's got some of the most awesome arrangements and riffing and shredding and just, Uli acrobatics, guitar acrobatics. Where the album falls down, though, is that Uli is well known for his less than stellar vocal style. He's got this really uniquely sort of goofy style of singing, which is sort of reminiscent of, say, some of the, well, it reminds me anyway of, some of those Frank Zappa recordings where either Frank or one of his cast of characters was singing in character, some comical voice. And, Uli sometimes comes across that way. And I think on Firewind, unfortunately, the vocals really come across that way stronger on this album than I think on any other album that Uli has done. Sorry for the edit there. I just got distracted by something. But anyway, this album, which was released in 1980, Firewind, you've got Uli on guitar, of course, Siddhartha Gautama on drums, and Ule Wittgen on bass guitar. Sorry if I've messed up those names, I really apologize. Of course, there's some great moments and great tracks here. Cast Away These Chains is epic. Indian Dawn, wow, what a great song Indian Dawn is. It's so good, I love it. Just the explosive riffing and just the thing I love about Uli's playing is that he takes you on these journeys with the guitar that are so original and unexpected, yet they're not jarring at all. You totally want to go on those journeys with Uli, and that's what's so special about what he does. Just Another Rainbow, great music, explosive guitar playing, but those vocals are just, I'm sorry, they're terrible. They just sound terrible on this, and this is a problem going forward through the album. Children of the Sea, it's again great music, great arrangements, great playing, really unique, and it's really special music. Really, I love it. And the music is so strong. Usually when you listen to an album and the band is pretty good but the vocals are terrible, that's a deal breaker for me. I mean, usually, not always. There are some other examples, but generally, but in this case, it's such a strong, Uli's writing as an instrumentalist is so strong, and his playing, of course, is straight up fire, that he can survive the terrible vocals. And more so than on any other album, the vocals really are hard to deal with on this. Chaplin and I, again, it's the same. Enola Gay, again, the same. An epic track, but those painful vocals, it's just it's it kills me. But I would still, any fan of who hadn't heard Electric Sun, but loves Uli era Scorpions, I would still recommend this album. So go check it out, Firewind. So coming in at number 2 is the amazing Beyond the Astral Skies, which was released in 1985. So this album saw quite a sort of stylistic change in a way, a kind of Uli decided to move away from the 3-piece configuration of the band and to introduce a lot more people, mostly on vocal harmonies. And where the vocals really let down Firewind, you can sort of almost hear that. You can hear the way Uli approaches this album, that he is kind of aware of that, because on this album, the vocals from him are much more restrained. And whenever there's like a melody that's a bit more demanding, that requires, someone who can really sing, he's got a whole cast of characters there to help him out. For example, he has Michael Felix on lead vocals on multiple tracks and also doing harmonies. Of course, Uli's doing his thing. Nick Moore and Uli Ritkin is there on bass again. Clive Bunker on drums. Elizabeth McKenzie, soprano and alto sax. Robert Curtis, violin and viola. Jenny Evans, Dorothy Patterson, Zeno Roth, his brother, and Rainier Parjwara. Sorry, another name I'm massacring there. I'm pretty good at the old name killing. But anyway, those last group of people were all vocal harmonies, all vocalists on the album. So he sort of has this, gang of vocalists in the band to really prop him up. You might even say it's a little bit overkill, but it works. It works great. It's an interesting approach. Like, rather than, I often sort of daydream when I'm listening to these albums what they would be like if Uli had hired, a really great singer to front the band, and he could have just concentrated on, composing the music and playing his ass off on the guitar. And I often sort of fantasize about what it would be like with, for example, David Coverdale. I know that's like might seem like a strange fit, but I don't know. I just think somebody with that sort of rich, powerful, bluesy kind of voice like Coverdale has could really be amazing with this kind of music. Anyway, that's fantasy stuff. But sonically as well, it was quite different from the approach of the first 2 albums, and it has much more of a sort of corporate sheen to it, a almost sort of pop sensibility to it, in the same way that albums like King Crimson's 3 of a Perfect Pair have. In fact, that's an album that I often get reminded of when I listen to this album. Not musically so much, but just the overall feel that sort of corporate clean, professional, pop sound that they achieved on this album, while not sacrificing in any way at all the complexity and the sheer uniqueness and weirdness and flamboyant extravaganza that is the music on this album, because it is that. Some of my favorites, well, my favorite on the album is I'll Be There. That's just a masterful track. I love how it sort of begins kind of gently and somewhat light and whimsical, and then just builds in intensity and grandiosity. The Night the Master Comes, the single that was released, and there's a video for that which is fun to watch on YouTube, so go check that out. Why is a great song. Icebreaker, it's really direct and immediate, fantastic. The mystical and grand I'm a River. I love the weirdness of songs like Angel of Peace, with its sort of Asian overtones and spooky keyboards at times, and Ellison with the slightly sort of demented classical sounding choirs, to then sort of move into something entirely unique and bizarre, but totally epic at the same time. And it's funny that it also kind of reminds me in some sections of that movie The Untouchables, the soundtrack to that movie, the movie with Kevin Costner and Robert De Niro. Great movie. Anyway, it's a really unique, fascinating, totally bizarre, but totally awesome album. So if you haven't heard it, go check it out. You won't be disappointed. And finally, we come to number one, and of course everybody knows what it's going to be. The amazing, the sublime, the awesome Earthquake, released in April 1979. This was the lineup of Uli on guitars and vocals, Clive Edwards on the drums, and Ole Redgen on the bass guitar. So, this was Uli's first solo album after leaving Scorpions, and it's such a unique statement, really, because he brought all the fire and the heaviness and the intensity from his time in the Scorpions, that sort of proto metal, and melded it with his many other musical interests, and into what I think is the best fusion that he ever came up with, really. This album is just stacked top to bottom with absolutely classic and memorable material, and my favorite material from Uli. Starting off with Electric Sun, which is probably my favorite. Maybe, yeah, it's hard to pick favorites, but it's one of my favorite songs of his for sure. Lilac, which is so weird and hippie-ish and sort of bizarre and unique. Kind of, I guess, has a little bit of sort of Hendrixisms in the way it sort of captures that kind of Hendrixy hippie vibe. But and at first, when I first heard it, I was like, no, what's that? But after listening to the album several times, it started to really grow on me, and I love that track now. Burning Wheels Turning, with its melody that's it's so strong that even Uli's voice can't stop it being awesome. And on this album, unlike Firewind, which was the album to follow this, there are moments where Uli's singing it's a bit rough, but it seems to work. It seems to work much better than it does on Firewind, and it's never like on Firewind. There's moments where it's really jarring. On Earthquake, you never, for me anyway, I never feel that it gets in the way of me enjoying the song at all. You know, you've got the hard grooving sundown, you know, guitar licks aplenty all over the place, all up, just destroying the fretboard. Uli was just is such an amazing guitarist. Sorry, Uli, is still going, buddy. um, the short yet beautiful winter days. You know, what a beautiful track that is. Still so many lives away with its killer guitar solo. And of course the epic title track, which is Earthquake. You know, with Earthquake, personally, I think they could have trimmed the fat on that track just a little, you know, but it's so cool and epic anyway that it can sort of endure some of that sort of those meandering sections of the song. But you know, I think this album, Earthquake, really captures the perfect fusion of where Uli was and where he was going. And I like, as much as I love you know, Beyond the Astral Skies for its, you know, bombastic nature and its, you know, its big arrangements and the large band, and it's all really interesting. But there's something so cool about Uli delivering this highly complex, progressive kind of music with a three-piece. I know there's plenty of guitar layers and stuff like he's recording, like, you know, harmonies all over the place, but it's just so damn cool. This album is a true classic. You can see I've got representing the shirt there of that wonderful album. So for any, I'm sure, you know, any fans of Uli and the Scorpions already know about Electric Sun, and if you're here, I'm sure you know it too. But for those of you who might not know, definitely go and check out Earthquake. It is a masterful album. You know, every song is just jam-packed with guitar wizardry, and not in the sense of just the blazing fast shred like that would come, you know, in the 80s, but there is plenty of shredding, but it's very tasteful, and it's all about the compositions, really. You know, Uli writes these amazing lines and harmonies, and takes you in unexpected directions, and really tells a story, paints a picture for you with the music. It's a real artistic statement, and you got to respect that. You got to love that, and I absolutely do. I absolutely love it, and it's cemented Uli for me as one of my all-time favorite guitarists. So anyway, that's it for me. That's it for this ranking. So, you know, just going back, we got Earthquake at number 1. We got Beyond the Astral Skies at number 2, and we have Firewind at number 3. All fantastic albums, all loaded with fantastic compositions, amazing playing, a little bit tainted by the vocals here and there, but not so much that it stops them being amazing classic albums. So that's it for today. Thanks for joining me and helping me to shed some light on this supremely underrated band by one of the greatest guitarists of all time. So for me, Spotlight Kid, thanks for watching. Stay metal, and see you next time.